Okay, hello. Thank you for being here tonight for the Running Start orientation for summer 2025. This is going to go over just basic information you need to know for starting the quarter and being successful. My name is Angela. I am the Associate Director of the Running Start program at CWU. I'm also the advisor in Ellensburg, so if you attend campus in Ellensburg, you'll probably work with me.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chelsea Braun, and I am the Running Start Advisor for online students. I'm also able to help you if you want to meet online and you want to take in-person classes on the Ellensburg campus. I am also able to assist you, but I am available to meet with you on Zoom.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chuck Dixon. I am the program coordinator for high school partnerships. I do deal mostly with Running Start students. I respond to emails. I'm the one usually processing applications, and I'm usually answering any general questions that you might have for our program.
Okay, so how this is going to work tonight is we're going to go over some online tools for you to be aware of, how to pay your fees, what your fees are for, how to find your textbooks, different resources are available for you, reminders about advising and academic standards, how your parents can access your records if you want them to, important dates that are coming up, and some tips for being successful for the quarter. We are your team, so if you need help, you can reach out to any of us at any time. Whether if Chelsea's not available, but you work with Chelsea normally, you can talk to me. If I'm not available, but usually work with me, you can talk to Chelsea. You can always reach out to Chuck. And not joining us tonight, but we also have Shiloh Bowen, who's our Running Start peer mentor. You might have talked to her on the telephone when she was calling you to schedule your advising appointment. So we are here to help you. And if you need anything, reach out. As I mentioned before we started recording, we are recording this session and we're going to be emailing it out to students who weren't able to attend. So if you have questions, I'll ask that you put them in the chat for now. But at the end, we're going to stop recording. And then if you have any questions, you're welcome to turn your cameras on and unmute and ask us anything that you want. So first thing is your MyCWU account. Obviously, you've used this because you're registered for classes. You're going to use this each quarter to register for your classes, to view the class schedule, to update your name or your address or your phone number, any contact information that you have. You can check your grades at the end of the quarter, your official grades that are going to go on your transcript through MyCWU. If you owe any bills, you can pay them. And you can also access your Canvas and your email through MyCWU, although you don't have to. We'll show you how you can do that otherwise. This is important for you. This is your student center. When you log into MyCWU, on the left side, you'll see your name and then it'll say Visit Student Center. This is what you'll see. It will show you your class schedule, if there's any times or the format of your class, how you're going to access it. It'll show you who your advisor is, if you owe any fees, if you have any holds on your account. Be aware that as a Running Start student, you are going to have holds on your account in between the registration periods. So right now you can make changes to your schedule for summer or for fall if you want to. But then once fall starts on the 6th day of the quarter, we'll end up having an enrollment hold on you. Just because when this high school's in session, if you're trying to make schedule changes or withdraw from anything, you're allowed to do so, but we also need to make sure it's okay with the high school. So don't be alarmed when you see Running Start hold there. That's normal. It just means we want you to check in with me or Chelsea before you make any big changes to your schedule. You have a CW email account. You are required to use it. I hope that you've been checking it. I would suggest to students check your email at least once a week when school's not in session. When school is in session, it's good to check it every day. For all of you who are taking classes in the summer where everything is online, it is especially important to check it every day because that's going to be the primary way that you're going to get information about your classes. I guess not literally everything is online, but again, it's a short quarter. This is how we communicate. So make sure that you're checking that. You don't have to be in MyCW to access your email. Your email is accessible just through outlook.com or outlooklive.com. So if you go to this and you can go to login, go to sign in, and then you can put in your CWU credentials. So your username at cwu.edu and your password, and it will log you in. You can also download the Outlook app for your phone. So if that's easier for you, you can use that. Just make sure that you're checking it and that you have notifications turned on. And if you are emailing anyone on campus, make sure that you're using this email. So you don't want to use your personal email or your high school email. We don't want like skaterforlife@hotmail.com going out. So make sure you're using this, because we are only supposed to respond to any questions about records and things like that if it's from an official CW email. And it will also make you look more professional and like you know what you're doing and you are ready to be here if you're using this actual email. If you use your personal one, also sometimes it goes to spam and we don't even see it. And many faculty won't respond if it's not from an Outlook CW email. So please make sure you're using that. If you have any difficulties with it, reach out to us. We can help you with that. But please check it regularly. It is the only way you're going to know what's going on. You're going to access any online content for your classes in Canvas. Again, the login is exactly the same. So it's your CW username @cwu.edu and then the same password. Canvas works kind of like Google Classroom, except it's a little more advanced, a little fancier. So once classes start, you're going to see your classes in Canvas. Excuse me. And from there, you'll be able to view the syllabus. Sometimes the textbook is accessible on Canvas. You'll be able to see your assignments. There's a grade book. Your professors should have an outline of how the class is going to operate and if there's any special instructions or anything like that. If you are confused at all, please reach out to your instructor first to ask them about anything that you are confused about. Or you can set up a meeting with myself or Chelsea, or we can get you connected with Shiloh and look into your Canvas account to see it. It's hard for us to troubleshoot without looking at it because we don't have access to your Canvas. But if you show it to us, we can probably figure out what the problem is. If you have trouble with Canvas, there is Canvas support that's available 24 hours a day. It's available at this link. And by the way, this presentation, a PDF, is going to be emailed out, so there's a lot of hyperlinks in it, but you don't need to like be writing them down or anything. You'll have all of them available when we email out the presentation. So when you're at this link, it will explain to you how to get 24/7 Canvas support. There is an email that you can access. If you have any password troubles, it's just your CWU login. So that means it's probably not working for anything. So you might need to just reset your password. There's different documents that explain how to use Canvas. There are videos that show you how to use Canvas. So that might be helpful for you since this is going to be your first time accessing something like this. There are student guides. Somehow we're all copy as soon as we're doing this. There's a little orientation that you can do and information about finding help. So if you get lost at all, try to access these resources, talk to your professor, talk to us. Don't just be confused and don't say anything because that's not going to help with the situation. So just talk to us if you need any help. If you have any disabilities, we want to make sure that you're working with the Disability Services Office. So if you have a 504 plan, if you have an IEP, if you have any other accommodations that you have at the high school that you think would be useful for you to have at Central, we would like you to work with Disability Services to request accommodations. If you have accommodations at your high school, they don't automatically transfer over to the college. It is something that you need to connect with that office to discuss. If you need that, you can click on this link. And then what you're going to do is you can read through it. You can go to registering with disability services. And then they have an explanation of what you need to do. So you'll do an online registration form. You'll need documentation of your disability or accommodations that you already have. And you can upload that into the portal, or you can send it to them other ways. And then you'll schedule a meeting with them and they can meet with you online if that's what you need, where they're going to talk to you about what type of disability you have, what types of accommodations you think might be useful for you. And then they'll develop a plan and put that in place. And then once you have accommodations, that's going to be sent to your instructors, but then you'll also want to talk to your instructors about that to make sure that you guys are on the same page. It's good to take care of this sooner rather than later. For online classes, sometimes I think students don't feel like they need accommodations as much, but if you do need them, please connect to Disability Services. And then when you have in-person classes, for instance, if you need like more time to navigate between your classes, or if you need extra time on exams or something like that, you for sure want to take care of that ahead of the quarter starting. Professors they're not really in a good place to make a decision about accommodations for students. That's why the Disability Services Office exists. So please work with them. If you need help getting connected with them, if you're trying to connect with them and it's not working for whatever reason, contact me, contact Chelsea, contact Chuck, because we can call them. We don't have access to whatever they're doing with you. We don't know if you have accommodations. We don't know what accommodations you have, anything like that. But we can help facilitate the conversation if you're having difficulty getting in contact with them. There's also, I'm sorry, there are also other online resources for students. I know that y'all have done online learning during COVID, but if you need additional assistance or reminders of how to work with online classes, the university has this document that has different resources for you, stuff about Canvas, and then there's information about taking online classes. So if you need anything, you can check this out. Again, your best resource is going to be talking to your professors, because different professors are going to set up their classes differently. So I would talk with them. But if you need like technical support, you can check out this link. You can also contact our service desk, and they should be able to help you. And I'm sure you guys are all aware, but just in case you aren't, your tuition is paid for by the school district, but you are going to have some fees. And so anticipate each quarter that you're enrolled, you're going to have a $25 multimodal fee. Multimodal is basically what develops the infrastructure of Canvas and allows you to have access to the online Canvas classes and different resources. And then there's also a $3 per credit technology fee that maxes at 10 credits. And this goes for paying for kind of like the infrastructure of the MyCWU system and then other technical assistance, that kind of thing. If you're taking 10 credits or more, anticipate that you'll have a $55 fee each quarter. And then certain classes might also have fees. So if you take like a geology class that has a lab and you're going to be accessing different materials in the lab, there might be a fee for that. You can see your fees again in your MyCWU account. In here, in your student center, you can also go to your student tab and click on financials, and that will show you as well. So anticipate that if you don't see fees yet, you probably will within the next week or so for summer. And if you're taking fall classes, you'll see them probably in August. They're due on, we'll talk about it with important dates, but for summer, I think they're due on the 3rd day of the quarter. And for fall, they're due on the 5th day of the quarter. So please make sure you take care of those and pay attention to it. You will get a bill in the mail as well. Fees can be paid online with a credit card or debit card. They can be paid via check. Or if you are local to Ellensburg, you can go into the cashier's office and pay them in person. You cannot pay up over the phone, unfortunately.
Okay, so if you want to access the podcast shop net to check out your textbooks, and there's a few to be so kind. It is actually a very simple website to navigate. You go to textbooks, you go to order textbooks, you'll click the link. Depending on if you're already enrolled for classes or not, you can go up to the top and you can type in your CWU ID, and it will load up your items already. Otherwise, you can go down to the bottom of the page and you can search by subject. Let's say it's biology or Japanese, anything along those lines. You'll click on the subject. You'll then select, let's say it's biology study 201, and it'll break it down to who your instructor is, A01, and then that will add to the choose book sections for that specific class. You then look and see what you have. If there are no required materials, they'll say it. Sometimes it might say instructor will, or instructor hasn't listed anything yet. Please check back later. Or it'll be something where it says, oh yeah, this book, this material, all these things right here, ready to go. And again, it covers everything under the sun for all these subjects. So if you can't find it, it's very easy to navigate. There you go. So yeah, this is an instance here. It does come in new, used, and then there might be a IA or internet access. So again, it gives you a few different options. So just take a look at which ones you might want to look at, depending on which options are available to you. Thank you, Angela. Per our book loan program, we do offer some instances where you can order a book through us because it does kind of depend on your circumstance. Some students, if their district offers free or reduced lunch, they qualify. If your parent is collecting unemployment benefits, if you're a foster youth, certain situations do apply where you can fill out an application with us. We can then loan out our books to you, or we can order those books for you and loan them to you for the quarter. And then we do not do inclusive access. That's usually a one-time deal only. We don't do online format or rentals. And then you actually do have to maintain academic standards when you enroll in the program with us. It is a 3.0, and you have to maintain that for every quarter that you want to be enrolled in the book club program.
And Chuck, do you mind if I chime in for just a second?
Go ahead.
So if you have an inclusive access book, like that one that we just saw at the Wildcat shop, where it said IA, that's an online book that you're going to access in Canvas, and it's going to charge automatically to your student account. So that's not something that you need to go out and purchase. You don't need to go to the Wildcat shop to get it. You don't need to go on Amazon. It's going to be accessible in Canvas once classes start. You're going to get an email at your CWU email account telling you that you have an inclusive access book. If you want to opt out of it, you're going to have to respond to that email saying that you want to opt out or follow the instructions in the email. Otherwise, anticipate you'll be using that book and it's going to charge automatically onto your CWU account, and it will show up as an inclusive access charge.
Thank you, Angela. So if you want to, as per our CW libraries, when you are a Running Start student, the university essentially treats you as a regular full-time undergrad student, whatever you want to count it as. So you do have access to our library. You have access to our Learning Commons. If you go to our website, you can utilize the resources there. It's again very simple to navigate. There's the 24/7 chat. You can email our library staff. You can make an appointment if you need to talk about something specifically. You can phone call them. There are a number of quick links you can go through. Reservist bedroom is a very frequent one. You can pick out one of the rooms in the library and reserve it so that way you can have some quiet time. Nobody else will bother you. There are all kinds of research guides and databases to look at. So don't feel like you can't look up anything for your research projects. We have a number of resources available in order to help you out as a Running Start student. And then as I previously mentioned, part of our Learning Commons, we do offer tutoring as a resource. Again, if you go to the website, you can take a look at the scheduling available. You can take a look at the subjects. You can do math, writing. Some online tutoring is an option. Again, it just depends on which one works out best for you. As you can see from the list, there are plenty of different options available. Once again, these resources are available to you as a Running Start student because you are considered a full-time Wildcat student, and you don't have to make any kind of distinguishment, any kind of designation. So long as that you make the appointment, you follow through, you have full access to these resources as any other student would here at this university. I apologize. I'm been coughing so much that I'm running out of breath.
So I've already met with quite a few summer students for Running Start advising, and I'm sure that Angela has as well. But we are available to discuss anything and meet with you to help assist you with anything that you need throughout the quarter. Angela is available in person on the Ellensburg campus, and I'm available online. I'm happy to help you, support you with your classes if you need assistance. If you need assistance communicating, particularly with instructors, or if you need help trying to figure out who to communicate with, you can always come to me or come to Angela, talk to your advisor. We can do academic planning for high school or college or anything else that you need assistance with. We're here to help you. You don't have to meet with us to discuss any of those things, but you are required to meet with us at least once per quarter when we do our academic advising. So that's the time when you will discuss your schedule. We'll go over what's available to register for, and the last step then will be to register for classes. You'll be emailed about the quarterly scheduling at your CWU student email. So that's one of the things you'll want to be looking out for and you won't want to miss. If you're not checking your CWU student email regularly, this is an easy thing, easy thing to miss. We will start talking about winter quarter, for example, in late October or early November. And so you'll want to keep an eye out for an email about advising at that time. Advising is available in person, of course, with Angela, and is available online with me. Online advising takes place over Zoom. If you need help with anything throughout the quarter, particularly if it's something that you need help with quickly, please contact the office immediately. It's so much better to get assistance and to get things ironed out than to let things drag on and become big problems later. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. Please also keep in mind that you need to submit an enrollment verification form. So the RSEVF is often the acronym that we use. You'll need to make sure it's signed by your high school counselor, yourself, a parent, and then by your academic advisor at CWU. This is important. You'll get a new one each quarter, and you will be enrolling into new classes each quarter. Sometimes students will fill one out at the beginning of the school year and think that that counts for the entire year. Please be aware that if you're planning on joining us for the fall, winter, and spring, that you'll need to submit a new academic or new RSCVS, excuse me, each quarter. At the beginning of each quarter, there is a schedule change period. So this is the time to make adjustments to your schedule, particularly if you are in a class that isn't working out for you. In the summer, this is a little bit more condensed. So you have just a few days. When we start on June 23rd, the deadline to make changes to your class is June 25th, which is that following Wednesday. This means you can add, drop, change, swap classes through the end of the day on the 25th. When you do make changes to your schedule, for example, if you decide to drop a class, it just disappears from your transcript as if it was never there. If you swap into another class, the original class just disappears. After that add drop deadline, you can request an uncontested withdraw for a certain period of time after the change of schedule period. An uncontested withdraw means that you can withdraw from an individual class for any reason. You don't have to provide documentation. You would receive a W on your transcript, just indicating that you withdrew from the class, but it doesn't impact your GPA. So if you drop out of the class, you aren't going to get a 0. For a 6-week summer course, if you have one of the slightly more condensed classes that's done in a 6-week time frame, the withdrawal deadline for that is July 18th. So you want to make sure to withdraw from the class by the end of the day on the 18th. For a 9-week uncontested withdrawal deadline, you'd want to make sure to withdraw from your class by the end of the day on August 1st. After that deadline, the only option is withdrawing using a hardship withdraw or a complete withdraw. A hardship withdraw is something that you would petition for if you had some kind of extenuating circumstance, something happened in your life that prevented you from being successful and accessing your classes. This can be something that like an extended illness, or I've had students that have been in car accidents, for example, something serious that prevents you from being successful, in which case you'd want to petition for a hardship withdraw. A complete withdraw means you would just completely withdraw from the university and from all of your classes for the remainder of the quarter. You would receive a W on your transcript for those, for all of your classes, but again, it would not impact your GPA. For a hardship withdraw, you would receive an HW indicating it was a hardship. For the 6-week hardship withdraw, the deadline is July 25th, as well as the complete withdraw. And for the 9-week hardship complete withdraw, you'd want to withdraw by August 15th.
And Chelsea, do you mind if I chime in for a second?
Of course.
So if you find yourself in a situation where, for whatever reason, class just isn't going well, it's much better to withdraw than it is to get a failing grade. And sometimes I think students are worried that they're going to be in trouble if they withdraw, or they're going to be in trouble if they tell me or tell Chelsea that they're having some difficulties. It's much better to talk to us when we're in a position where we can assist you. So, like if you want to do an uncontested withdrawal, you're allowed to. It's fine. You're not going to be in trouble. You're not going to get charged, nothing like that. But you need to tell us within that time frame so that we can help you. Or even if you're not sure if you should withdraw and you're just having some difficulties and you're not sure if you can catch up or not, schedule with myself or with Chelsea so we can talk to you about it. Because what we don't want you to do is, again, be stressed out, but be kind of like paralyzed by your stress and not do anything. And then we get to a point where it's too late for us to do anything about it. And I've used this example before. Chelsea's heard me say this, but when I was in Running Start, I failed PE. I took independent study PE and I like knew I wasn't going. And so obviously I knew I wasn't passing it. But I kind of got paralyzed by just being embarrassed about not doing it, but I still wasn't doing it. And I had a good GPA when I was in college, but I have an F on my transcript. And that's not a great look. It's not a huge deal because it was a PE class and I'm 20 years outside of college now, so it's fine. But it's better not to have that. So if you're in that situation, and summer is an accelerated quarter. So if you're finding it's just too much or life has happened or whatever, we're not going to judge you. We want to help you. So please just talk to us about it. But don't fail your class because you weren't doing your work and then you never said anything to somebody, because we can probably find a solution for you.
Thank you. I also wanted to add on to that, that if you schedule a meeting or talk to me about doing a hardship withdrawal, or even an uncontested withdrawal, there will be a series of tasks that you need to follow afterwards in order to enact that withdrawal. You can't just email me and say, hey, I'd like to withdraw, and then never check your email or respond. I run into that at least once every year where somebody will send me something that says, hey, I'd like to drop this class, and then I never hear from them again. I cannot drop it for you. I will send you some information about what your next steps are. And if you have a conversation with me, particularly if you schedule a meeting and I give you a series of next steps then to follow, please make sure that you're doing so, that you're checking your email, you're following through. Otherwise, you will end up not dropping your class in time, and that can also cause issues. So please make sure that you're following through. So for academic standards, for Running Start students, it's important that you are maintaining a minimum of 2.0 GPA each quarter to remain in good academic standing. The first quarter that your GPA falls below a 2.0, and this is a cumulative GPA, so between all of your classes, you want to make sure that your overall GPA is a 2.0 or higher. If your quarterly GPA drops below a 2.0, you'd be placed on academic probation from the Running Start program, which means that you would schedule ongoing coaching meetings with your advisor or a peer mentor. You can always meet with Shiloh. And we would, in order to continue in the program, we'd want to make sure that we were checking in, discussing what you needed in order to be successful so that we can help support you in having a better quarter the next quarter. The second quarter that your GPA falls below a 2.0, you'd be placed on suspension from the Running Start program, which means you're no longer eligible to enroll into Running Start classes. So it's important to make sure that you're maintaining that GPA and keeping it up. If you do end up on academic suspension, you can submit a written appeal. So there's an option for, maintaining or continuing with the Running Start program, but there are a lot of safeguards in place, just as we were discussing those like the change of schedule period and the uncontested withdrawal deadline and the hardship withdrawal. All of those things are in place to prevent your GPA from dropping that low. There are lots of different ways that you can prevent this outcome, so please keep these things in mind and think about those standards when you're when you're in class, and we'll be looking at those when grades are posted at the end of each quarter. For parents to access records, we oftentimes get questions from parents. Parents may want to access your grades, know how you're doing during class. Please be aware that the CWU staff, and that includes Running Start staff, so even if you are under the age of 18, you're still in high school, you are still covered by the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and we still have to follow the rules and policies for CWU records and for FERPA, the privacy law, regarding your records. So we are only able to release your student information to yourself and to the high school. And we're authorized to do that by the quarterly, the RSCVF, so that enrollment form that you sign. Unless you provide permission to release that information to someone else, which includes your parents. At the end of each quarter, we'll put together a grade report that we will send out to your high school, and we'll share all relevant information or important information or concerns with your high school counselor. So if there's an issue, we will talk to your high school counselor about it. We will not contact your parents to discuss issues unless there's an emergency of some kind. But if your parents email us or call or have a specific question about your records, unless you've signed a release of information form, there are a lot of things that we are not legally able to share because of those privacy rules. So if you would like to have your parents be able to access those things, you'll want to make sure that you are providing the proper authorization.
And I'm going to chime in again. And so if any parents end up watching this, even if your student does the release of information, that does not mean it's a good idea for you to contact faculty. At the high school, it's really normal for parents to talk to teachers and for there to be that sort of communication flow. But in college, the relationship is really between the student and the faculty member. We don't have access to what's happening in the classroom. We just find out at the end of the quarter what a student's grades are. But if your student, for instance, maybe gets a poor grade on like a paper or something like that, it's not helpful for you to call the faculty member and ask what the issue is. It would be helpful to coach your students about how to talk to their faculty member or have them connect with myself or Chelsea so we can help coach them about how to talk with their faculty members and also help them get connected with tutoring or different resources in like the Writing Center. But faculty are going to probably have an impression that a student's maybe not ready to be in college if a parent is calling them. And I will tell you, I've been here for 10 years at Central working with Running Start students, and I have never seen an instance of it being successful, like a good outcome for a student when a parent has called a faculty member. The exception would be if there's some kind of emergency. But again, it would be better to just contact myself or Chelsea. So if your student gets a concussion and they need to be out of school, that kind of thing, high school can contact us, you can contact us, and we'll work with like our case management services and our different resources on campus to make sure faculty know. But even if you have a release, please do not call faculty because you're worried about your student's grades or anything like that, because it's just going to give a poor impression of your student. And I wish there was a nicer way for me to say that, but there just really isn't. Again, anytime I've seen this, it hasn't been a very good outcome for the student.
Thank you. So important dates coming up. June 23rd is when our classes start. So coming up pretty soon. June 25th, that following Wednesday, is when fees are due. After that, we'll start accruing interest. June 25th is also when the change of schedule period ends. So when you can add, drop, swap, make changes to your schedule. It's easy to do within those first couple of days, but you'll want to do so by the end of the day, June 25th. The uncontested withdrawal deadline for the 6-week quarter session is July 18th. July 25th, the hardship complete withdrawal deadline for the 6-week session. For the 9-week session, or the full session, the quarter, August 1st is when, or excuse me, for the 6-week session, classes end on August 1st. And then August 1st is also the uncontested withdrawal deadline for the full session. August 6th is the 6-week session, is when 6-week session grades are available. You can see them online at that time. They're posted on your transcript, and we will send a grade report to your high school. Then August 15th is when the hardship and complete withdrawal deadline is for the full session, again, that 9-week session. August 22nd is when the full session classes end, and then August 27th is when your grades are available in my CWU, and we will send grade reports to your high school. A little bit of advice for having a successful quarter. Um, you'll want to check your CWU email and Canvas every day. I know we've mentioned this a couple of times and talked about it in a little bit of depth, but again, super important. Please make sure you're checking your CWU student email, reading anything that comes in that's in, it looks important, anything from faculty, members of your professors, anybody within the CWU system, they are going to email you at your student email. So please make sure you're checking that. And then check your Canvas every day, even if you're in an asynchronous class. Most online classes are asynchronous, so you don't always have a live lecture to log into. Please just make sure you're checking Canvas every day. Sometimes instructors post updates there. So it's just important to make sure that you're checking in. Something that can be very helpful is to use a calendar to keep track of your assignments and deadlines. As a Running Start student, I think you'll see that you have more control over your own schedule and you're more responsible for your own studying, your own assignments. You won't have somebody tracking you down if you don't turn in assignments, if you don't attend class. So using a calendar to keep track of your assignments and deadlines is a really helpful way to keep yourself on track. Taking notes if you're listening to lectures in person or online. If you're listening to lectures, taking notes as you're listening or reading, reviewing and rewriting notes every day is a very helpful way to make sure that information is really sinking in. If you are spending a lot of time studying, you want to make sure that you're scheduling breaks in there as well. The time to start studying is not right before a test. Everything is designed to be done within the time frame of the quarter. So keeping up and making sure you're studying, doing a little bit every night is really valuable. You don't want to wait until right before a test to kind of cram things in. If you need help, please reach out. Again, don't wait until the last minute. If you're having a problem, don't be embarrassed to come and talk to us. We are absolutely here to help you. Running Start staff is a great place to go, but your professors as well. If something doesn't make sense, if you have a question, absolutely please address your professors. Tutoring and support services are available for you, your fellow students. If you have any friends in your classes, great to have a conversation with other students. If you're having a tech problem, please make sure that you're taking care of that right away as well. If you let that go, then sometimes it can fall behind. So you want to tell your professor, again, if you're having an issue, especially if you have an assignment coming up, please tell your professor and then seek assistance. Our IT service desk, the people there are very helpful. You want to connect with other students to study and collaborate. It's great to work with each other. Again, if you've got friends or no other students in your classes, it's an excellent way to learn. And then ask other people, parents, friends, mentors, to help keep you accountable about deadlines. If you know that you are not great at sticking to a schedule, again, everything is designed to be done in kind of sometimes condensed time frames. So it can be really helpful to have other people be aware of your deadlines so they can help keep you on track.
And I know for all of you, this is your first time taking college classes on a campus or online. I know some students have done maybe college in the high school or advanced placement, but taking college classes with college professors can be new. And it's funny because this literally just came up with me about how to refer to your professors with a student I was talking to today. So just a little bit of 101 about how to talk to your professors. Here at the university and any other university you go to, it's not normal practice to call professors by like Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. All of your professors either have a master's degree or they have a doctorate, and it is the standard to call people either professor or doctor. So for instance, if I'm taking classes with Dr. Sign, I'm going to call him Dr. Signer. If you're taking classes with Mary Radicke for psychology, she's awesome. You should take class with her some days. She's very cool. She has a PhD, so you would call her Dr. Radicke. Some professors might tell you you can call them by their first names, so that's totally fine. Whatever they tell you is what you should call them. But if you don't know, you want to call them either professor or doctor, because that's what people are called here. especially if you're emailing, like if you want to try and get into a class or something, again, professor or doctor, unless they introduce themselves to you a different way. A lot of professors, if you ask them questions and they feel like you haven't actually looked for the answer on your own first, might be a little bit annoyed. So it's a good rule of thumb to look at the syllabus. Every single class is going to have a syllabus. It's going to have an outline of what are the outcomes for the class, what are the goals of the class, what are the expectations for you as a student, what are their grading criteria, what is their policy on late work if they take late work, what is their policy on attendance if there is an attendance policy. What are you going to be doing? Everything you need. It's kind of like the contract of your class. So it's a good idea if you have a question like, will it be okay if I turn my assignment in late? Or I'm going to summer camp and I'm going to be gone for a week. Is it going to be okay? Look at the syllabus first, see what their policy is, and then reach out if you have a question about what the policy is. Because something I say to a lot of my students is nobody likes to waste their own time. So professors try to put everything in the syllabus that you could possibly need to know about the class. And it can feel a little annoying when you've done all that work and then students ask you questions because they haven't even looked for the answer yet. So absolutely ask for help, but look at the syllabus, look at Canvas to see if their answer's already there, and then talk to your professor for clarification if you don't understand. With any classes that you have, this is more true for in-person classes, but do assign readings before class. So for instance, if you have a live class, say that you're taking something that meets in person or that's live, and you guys are going to be talking about chapter 3 on Tuesday, you want to make sure that you've read chapter 3 before Tuesday. So that way you already know what's covered in chapter 3, because whatever your professor is going to be talking about is going to be building off of what's in chapter 3. So if you haven't read it yet, you're going to feel a little bit confused sometimes about what your professor is talking about. So do your readings ahead of time. In any communication you have with anyone on campus, make sure that you're being polite. Make sure that you're using appropriate grammar and spelling if you're using your CWU account. Don't use your personal email account. We talked about that. But again, always be polite when you're interacting with people. Our running instructions are always polite anyway, but it's still a good reminder. If you're asking to get an overload into a class, if you're asking for an extension, people are far more likely to want to assist you if you are treating them with kindness. You can expect more kindness back from them. So be nice to people. And again, make sure that you're using appropriate language when you're talking to people. If you're emailing professors, don't send things in text speak. And by the way, anything that we're talking about, it's because we've seen it happen before. And we want you to avoid any issue that someone else in the past has had. So again, don't send an email from your personal account that doesn't have your name on it. And so they don't even know who they're talking to. Make sure that you're using proper punctuation, that kind of thing. When you're emailing people, remember emails, and I'll show an example, but emails should have a greeting. It should have a message and it should have a closing. That's polite communication. That's clear communication. That's a standard that you can expect in college. So try to do that when you're emailing people. And when you're emailing your professors, they have a lot of students. Some of the professors are teaching maybe 3 or 4 classes, and those classes might have anywhere between 25 and 100 people per class. In the fall quarter, there's some of the psychology classes, there's 100 students in those classes. And so it's not that they don't know who you are, but just make it easier for them to identify what you need. So when you're sending them an email, identify yourself with your first and last name, your ID number, the course that you're taking, the subject, the title, and the section. And when you look at your schedule, right, if you're taking Psychology 101 on your schedule, it's going to say PSY 101, and then it'll say A01 or A02 or O02. That's the section. So make sure that you have all that in there so that they don't have to go figure out of their 300 students which class you're in and which student you are and what day it is, that kind of thing. Make it easy so it's easy for them to help you. So this is a sample email that would work well for a professor. So, and it's from Pretend Meet. So we're going to say, Dear Dr. Professor Stein, and again, we have a greeting. I hope you're well, it's being polite. My name is Angela Riviera, ID number. I'm a student in your Math 130-001 class that meets at 10 a.m. I have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday at 9:30, so I'll need to miss your class. I'll read through the syllabus and the course materials for that day, but I'm wondering if you could also meet with you if I have any questions about the course material. Do you have any open times for your schedule for Wednesday between 3 and 5? Thank you for your time. And then I have my name and my ID number and the class that I'm taking. So this is a good standard to use when you're emailing your professors, because again, you're identifying yourself, you're being polite, you're identifying what the issue is, you're letting them know that you've already read, that you're going to look at the syllabus, you're going to review the materials, and seek help for them. And sidebar, your professors are all going to have office hours when they're available to meet with you. And so that will be listed on their syllabus. If you can't meet during those office hours, it is perfectly reasonable to ask to meet at a different time. But again, like in this email, suggest a time that might be available for you and see if that works for them. Most professors are going to be absolutely fine with it, but if you say like, do you have time to meet? I don't know, I have time to meet. It can get really confusing. Sometimes I'll have students who ask me like, when are you available? And it's like, well, I mean, just ask me when you want to come in kind of thing, right? Because I'm here 40 hours a week. So just try to have clear communication, but again, very polite communication. And again, we literally get emails that are like rocketdog68 at Gmail, and there's no name. I have no idea who's emailing us. And they ask to take a test, and I don't know what test they need. And they want to know the status of their application, and I don't know who they are. So I can't tell them what the status of their application is because they've given me nothing to look up. And we want to help them, but they make it a little bit hard. So don't make it hard for people to help you. Make it easier for them to help you. So I'm going to stop the recording now because that's the end of the presentation. And then if you guys have questions, you are welcome to ask them.